HOA illegally sold my 1,800 acres, so I legally bought their homes and built my ranch. The sun hung low over the Karen Valley, painting the rolling hills in hues of amber and gold. For decades, Thomas Hargrove's family had owned 1,800 acres of this land, a sprawling canvas of wildflowers and open skies. It was his sanctuary, his legacy, where he'd planned to raise his daughter, Lila, and teach her the rhythm of the earth. But the Karen Valley Homeowners Association had other plans. Led by Margaret Voss, a woman with a smile as sharp as a switchblade, the HOA had exploited a legal loophole, claiming eminent domain to seize Thomas's land for a luxury condo development. They'd sold it to a faceless corporation for millions, leaving Thomas with nothing but a foreclosure notice and a heart full of rage. Thomas stood on the edge of his former property, staring at the skeletal frames of condos rising like gravestones. Lila, barely 16, clung to his side, her eyes wide with confusion. "They can't just take it, Dad," she whispered. But they had. Margaret and her lawyer, Preston Klein, had orchestrated it all. Their signatures scrawled across documents that twisted the law like barbed wire. Thomas vowed to fight, not with fists but with the same cunning they'd used against him. He spent sleepless nights poring over legal texts, his savings dwindling. Then, a twist of fate. A retired clerk named Evelyn, who'd once worked for the county, slipped him a tip. The HOA's sale had skirted regulations, unfiled permits, unnotified stakeholders. It was a crack in their armor. Evelyn, with her trembling hands and quiet courage, became Thomas's unlikely ally. She'd seen Margaret's greed firsthand, having lost her own small plot to the HOA years ago. "They think they're untouchable," she told Thomas, her voice steady despite her age. "Prove them wrong." Thomas didn't just want his land back. He wanted justice to sting. He discovered that the HOA board members, including Margaret and Preston, lived in a gated enclave nearby, their homes built on leveraged loans and inflated appraisals. With Evelyn's help, Thomas tracked down the bank holding their mortgages. Using every cent of his remaining inheritance, he bought the loans at a discount, becoming the legal creditor of their properties. Then, with a stroke of his pen, he foreclosed on their homes. One by one, eviction notices landed on their doorsteps. Margaret's manicured lawn was soon littered with moving boxes, her face pale as she realized her empire was crumbling. The confrontation came on a blistering afternoon. Thomas faced Margaret and Preston on the dirt road where his land once began. The air crackled with tension. "You stole my life," Thomas said, his voice low but unyielding. "Now I've taken yours." Margaret's eyes blazed. "You're a nobody, Hargrove. You think you've won." Preston, clutching his briefcase, stammered about lawsuits, but his confidence was unraveling. Lila watched from a distance, her heart torn between pride and fear. Evelyn stood beside her, whispering, "Sometimes, justice is a slow burn." Thomas didn't stop at their homes. He used the foreclosed properties to secure a loan, buying back his 1,800 acres from the corporation, which had stalled on construction. He turned the land into a ranch, not just for profit but for purpose, a community hub where locals could learn farming, free from HOA control. The condos were never built. Instead, wildflowers bloomed again, and Lila's laughter echoed across the fields as she tended the land with her father. But victory was bittersweet. One night, Thomas found a letter slipped under his door. It was from Evelyn, who'd passed away quietly in her sleep. She'd left him her life savings, a modest sum, with a note. "For the ranch. Keep it free." Her death hit harder than Thomas expected, a reminder that justice often comes at a cost. He saw Margaret one last time, loading her car, her eyes hollow. "You destroyed us," she spat. Thomas didn't flinch. "You destroyed yourselves," he replied. But as she drove away, he felt no triumph, only the weight of a community fractured by greed and revenge. The ranch thrived, but the valley remained divided. Some hailed Thomas as a hero. Others whispered he'd gone too far, buying homes to settle a score. Lila, now older, asked him one evening, "Was it worth it, Dad?" Thomas looked at the horizon. where the sun dipped below his reclaimed land. "I got you and the ranch back," he said. "But I lost something too." He didn't name a trust, perhaps, or the belief that people could rise above their worst instincts. The Karen Valley still buzzes with whispers of the feud. Thomas's ranch stands as a testament to resilience, but the scars of betrayal linger. Was Thomas a savior or a vigilante? Did the HOA deserve their fall, or did justice tip into vengeance? Share your thoughts. Where does right end and wrong begin in a community torn by greed?